Hello, welcome to Tranquillitas Healing Hub. We're doing our recording today in the nice comforting healing room that Peta runs here at Tranquillitas Healing, or is it Insight Healing?
Tranquillitas Healing.
Yep, Tranquillitas Healing. So Peta has clients come here into this beautiful room. It's lovely. So yeah, we've decided to do it inside today because our Mother Nature is... yes, pouring the rain down on us outside.
And the winds.
Oh.
It's like a tail end of a cyclone.
Yeah, yes. There's some pictures going out on the internet at the moment of what the storm looks like coming over Perth. And yeah, we're getting whipped, aren't we? Yeah, so we decided to do our video today indoors. It's nice and quiet, so we shouldn't have any interruptions like we did from the soul last week. That was funny, wasn't it?
From the wind.
Yeah.
Because I think we did one day when it was very windy on the front veranda.
Yes.
And we could hear the wind in the background.
Yeah. And that's part of what we're doing now, isn't it? Is learning.
Yes, absolutely. Week after week. I think this is our fifth video, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
My goodness me, time flies.
It does, yeah. It's amazing. So, Peter's learned some interesting things going on within our Commonwealth Government this week. She went to a talk, held a seminar, and it was attended by the Commonwealth Government's Department of Health.
Yeah.
So Peter's going to have a chat about that, but what Peter actually and I would like to have a chat about ancient healing and how long it's been around.
The history of the ancient healing arts.
Yeah. So
I wrote a presentation to give to the West Australian Reflexology Association in 2016, and it took me about 4 months to research.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know, it just led me on this most amazing journey and a very awakening to me in terms of the life force energy.
Yep.
And it was the one common denominator through every civilization, going back 60 to 80,000 years.
The reference to energy.
Our traditional Aboriginal healers.
Amazing.
It was just a wonderful journey to go on, and I learnt so much from it. Yeah.
And the fact that after doing all of that learning, you've decided that this, the therapeutic touch and the care and compassion is the way of bringing a holistic healing approach. It's the way it was done by the ancients, and your research has really helped you solidify that, hasn't it?
Absolutely, it was a turning point actually.
Oh.
You know, because I was in all these associations and having studied modalities of touch since 2000, probably the late 1990, 2000. Yeah. And, you know, this modality, that modality, but in actual fact, we are all one. We are all working with the life force, the energy, and under the umbrella now of what I call energy medicine. Yeah. And energy medicine has been a term that has been used in the United States well before I started, even back with Dora Kuntz and Dee Krieger with therapeutic touch. So, you know, energy medicine is the future. Yeah,
and it was the past. It was the past too.
Yeah, well,
if we're waking back up, aren't we?
We absolutely are. And as I said read in last week's video about the physiologist who won the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1934, and he said we are the only civilization that has not moved energy. That says a lot about the Newtonian versus Einstein models of health service delivery.
Yeah.
and I'm an Einstein girl.
Yeah, well, Mum always referred to my homeschooling as well. Einstein was homeschooled, so you know he didn't turn out half bad. There's a lot to live up to, Mum.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, well, yesterday Nandita and I from Healing Insights, we were privileged to be asked to do a presentation at one of our city's councils on therapeutic touch.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was able to source a video called Therapeutic Touch in Aged Care, because this was a part of the council that worked with seniors and the ageing persons in the community of the Shire, or the Shire, or council. Yeah. And there was service providers there, and also were members of the Commonwealth Department of Health.
Oh.
One was over from Canberra, and the other lady was is here in Perth. Yeah. And the paper I presented initially was a paper I had written for a workshop at the Alzheimer's and Dementia Association here in Perth, called The Power of Touch. Another absolute, divinely written paper that came to me in the middle of the night, channeled,
that's how it works.
And, putting in a few resources there. And then I showed the therapeutic touch in aged care. Yeah. And I'll just actually get the DVD down. It was produced by, I don't know if you can see it there.
Right, let's see. The font's backwards, my love. So what we'll do is we can upload those details.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then I showed the Therapeutic Touch in Aged Care, which is a resource video for health professionals, families and volunteers who care for the elderly. And it was put together by a fabulous woman who's an occupational therapist by the name of Sue Gregory. She's actually in Tasmania, and she's worked very much in the centre of Australia with the Aboriginal people in healing. Yep. And she's a great lady. And she's just moved back to Tassie, actually. And it's a really beautiful video that Sue has produced here. And so what happened after the meeting, that the ladies from the Department of Health came and spoke, and the lady from Canberra has given me a list of people to contact, and she's taking it back to Canberra from what I had to say. And also the lady from Perth has asked me to get in contact with her when I get back from Canada, which we leave for on Tuesday. So it was all very exciting, and I felt such joy. But I guess the most joyous thing I felt yesterday morning was Alicia. I don't watch television, and early to bed lady, but Alicia sent me a article that was on the SBS News.
Yeah, on their website. I'm not sure if it was on their TV telecast, but via their website, it was an article that popped up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it just set me on cloud 9. And it was the Aboriginal healers are now calling for Aboriginal healing to be integrated for all in the mainstream medical model. Well, I've had tears of joy and I wanted to climb the mountain and sing from the mountain with joy. It was just amazing. So I don't feel alone. I don't feel like a voice singing in the wilderness, because these most powerful healers are also saying the same thing.
Yep.
And they're working in hospitals around Australia now. They're working out in remote communities. And, you know, so it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And to see a vision I had in 2000 and to see it come to life now, oh my gosh, it just blows me away. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that their talent and their wisdom and their skill is finally getting the respect it deserves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
And the journey, actually, as I said in a paper I wrote for nursing education back in 2001, where I did a presentation for nurses on holistic healthcare and complementary therapies, that this takes you on a journey that humans cannot understand. And fortunately, 20 years later, I've now got the wisdom and I've been blessed with that, being able to understand what's actually happening and the scientific research that's gone into it, particularly through the Therapeutic Touch Association, and the magnetic fields, and, you know, just the energy flow, and, you know, through others that do other healing arts forms, like Alicia, and you know, the Reiki community, for example, they're doing a lot of research. The Reflexology Association are doing a lot of research. And
well, it's because I want to interject. It's because they need to actually prove. Unfortunately, to the government, they need to prove by backed research that their modality works, so as to be taken seriously by the governments. Absolutely,
and I think that, you know, the article that was out on the news this week about how the neuroscientists are working out how dance is so good for patients with Parkinson's.
Yep.
And, you know, poetry and music and interactions for people with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yep.
Honestly, it's just a changing world, and we are awakening, or there's so many awakened people out there, and scientists like neuroscientists and people who work with neuroplasty, and it's outside my field, but, you know, it's actually proving that the power of the hands have, and the power of the arts.
Oh yeah, exactly. The power, the that which brings you human joy. So it could be so relatable to that person, and yet it should be part of their therapy.
Absolutely. So I've had a great week. Learned lots. Getting very excited about heading off on Tuesday morning.
Yes.
And I think Brian is too, which is really great. Picked up our tickets today, so
it'd be good for you to have some time away together.
I am a little bit tired because I've been working pretty hard. So life's good.
That's awesome, Peter.
And I did see our federal member in Stirling. And I'm just putting information through his way for them to do their research on the power of therapeutic touch, etc. So, hopefully
exactly.
People will start talking about it in Canberra. And I think Greg Hunt, who is asked for a review to be done on complementary therapies. And CAMS, I'm not sure about CAMS. I think it was CAMS too. Naturopathy, etc., chiropractic work. That I know that I'm sure HBF will, and the private health funds will, but as I've said right from the beginning of my that this has to be available for every single human being.
Yeah, whether you've got private cover or not. You know, Mm-hmm.
But it has to be for the homeless, for the vulnerable, for the poor. You know. Yeah.
Well, if you want citizens that are well and able to work and contribute to society and to grow the society, and well, you'd sort of want to be able to, you know, you want to look after them the way that they need to be looked after, and sort of putting the whole walls in front of certain therapies is, well, it's sort of quite controlling, isn't it?
Oh, very.
In a way, and we wouldn't like to see our democracy go like that, you know. So I'm glad to see that there's changes happening, or at least the eyes are opening in government as to there's a lot of people out there that need complementary therapies. You know, I personally, I can't take medication because it stuffs my body up, but I've been on all sorts of antidepressants and bipolar medication, and I'll be honest, it's been mindful work, breathing exercises, music, dance, and I'm not structured like going to dance classes, but I will do it in the moment, because it's in the moment that we are able to conquer our anxiety or depression, and it's we cannot rely on pills or outside sources in certain cases.
Healing comes from within.
Yeah.
The only person who can heal themselves, who can heal them, is they themselves. As healers, it's our role to take them to the to support and be with them on the journey.
Yeah.
And take them to the door of their soul, as Caroline Miss says.
Yep. You can't make
but
them.
But we can't. They're the ones that knock on the door and have the door opened and then enter and do the work that they need to do.
Exactly, and the more that the hierarchy accept that it works, especially if it's in their own personal cases, the more people that experience the extra modalities of healing aside from having a tablet, the more awareness they'll realise that, oh, hang on a second, well, if it works for me, so why isn't it allowed? So it just, the seeds are being planted, and we're slowly seeing those flowers coming up, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
It's absolutely beautiful. I got to learn something new today. I wanted to have a little addition to the storytelling today. So I asked Peter to find me a poem, and in relation to what Peter's going to be talking about in a moment. So we found this poem, Peter, and it's on the poetrylibrary.edu.au. It's like the University of Sydney. So it's called All One Race, all right? All One Race by, you're gonna have to help me.
Oodgeroo
Noonuccal. Thank you. Okay. From the book, The Dawn is at Hand. Black tribe, yellow tribe, red, white or brown, from where the sun jumps up to where it goes down. Hares and Pakashiabs, Dimolus, what is that? What are these? Are these birds?
No, they're particular like races, like the squaw. It's the Indian, the old American Indian race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
they're different.
The different races of the people that would have come to see them on the land. So the Hers and the Paka Sahibs, Demoselis and Squaws.
Yeah.
All one family. So why make wars? They're not interested in Brumby runs. We don't hanker after midnight suns. I'm for all mankind, not colour jibes. I'm international and never mind tribes. Black, white or brown race, yellow race or red, from the torrid equator to the ice fields spread. Monsieurs and seigneurs, lubras and fraus, all one family, so why family rows? We're not interested in their igloos, they're not mad about kangaroos. I'm international, never mind place, I'm for humanity, all one race.
I love that.
Oh, I got tingles. So
Yep.
special, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Always have
Yeah.
been.
So I'm now going to just share with you this paper I wrote back in 2016. It's called A Step Back in Time. Something ancient is now new. But before I commence this presentation, I'd like to say what an honour and privilege it is to be here to share with you where my studies in the complementary modalities of therapeutic touch, healing touch, clinical reflexology, massage, prayer and meditation and stress management have led me. I'm a registered nurse. I've been nursing since 1965. And I was so fortunate to have to be trained in the hospital-based systems where touch and prayer, in Catholic hospitals especially, and holistic care were part of nursing at that time. Nursing was, in those days, an art, not a science. I chose not to go to further my qualifications in nursing at university. However, I did choose to follow a pathway to study the modalities listed above that nurses are allowed to use in practice. Take note, these healing modalities nurses have been allowed to use in practice since 1995, and this is kept hidden from nursing, both students and registered fraternities. Complementary therapies and healing are not in any nursing curriculums at the 5 universities that run nursing programs here in Western Australia.
That's not good enough.
I believe it is imperative for complementary therapists to understand energy medicine and the power of touch through their hands and to practice delivering their modality using a truly holistic model of care. The journey into the ancient healing arts began for me in 2000. My first course was a certificate in reflexology and level 1 Reiki in 1999. During that time I was told, "Oh, your hands are so hot." In those days, I would respond with, "Oh, I must have a cold heart." Little did I know I had been practicing energy medicine all my nursing life. In 2000, I received a copy of all preceding papers from the Special Interest National Community Health Conference. In that document, the presented paper that jumped out at me was a paper on healing touch. I knew the presenter as I had worked with her in the 1980s. I contacted her immediately and I commenced my studies in healing touch in early 2002. This is where I began to learn about energy healing through the chakras or energy vortices of the body, the unseen. As part of our course, we had to study the history of energy healing. That is what I'm going to talk on today in relation to, in particular, because this was for a reflexology workshop, reflexology. However, before I commence my talk on the history of healing, I will share with you how I have come to realise that touch therapies are all interrelated. and connected to the power of touch, reactivating the energy forces to flow smoothly through the human body by unblocking the unseen energy fields and balancing the energy fields of the body, mind, emotion, and spirit. There is an interconnectedness between all persons, and this is what makes the touch modalities sacred healing art. Bert Davis's book, Reflexology Simplified, written in 1994, on pages 13 to 17, outlines reflexology as related to the subtle energies, zones, meridian theories. Glenda Hodges is another Australian reflexologist who practices using a holistic approach. Her book, Holistic Reflexology, is worth reviewing for this model of practice. Many complementary therapies used and practiced today have been used since ancient times and come from traditional healing practices of many cultures. I've been very fortunate to have worked with and been taught by traditional healing elders in our remote Aboriginal communities. The history of healing, sacred energy healing. The Australian medicine man era, 60 to 80,000 years ago. The research for the history of the traditional Aboriginal healing led me to a book called The Ancient Medicine Man, written by a German anthropologist, Helmut Petrie. The Australian Medicine Man is an extensive survey of literature relating to the Aboriginal medicine men, or as Elkin was to term them, men of high degree. What I found validated my experience with working with and learning from both men and women of high degree. It is written in the Australian Medicine Man. The material presented thus far has made it very clear, despite the incompleteness, that in the Australian Northwest, the rainbow serpent plays a dominant role as an outer worldly power and calls the medicine men to their duties. Other tribes believe that the blackfellow doctor is never taught, but is born into his responsible mission. He has received all his talents by ways of rare, and that means already as a pre-existent spirit child from Damara and the great cultural creative hero of mythical times, to take him on his path through life. The medicine man becomes a personage singled out from ordinary people by virtue of his innate, especially intensive Delangi, the life force. Delangi becomes a concept in these tribes that encompasses a great deal. It expresses not only the life substances filling every person, but also dreams and visions, states, along with what we want to call local totems and totem centres in our scientific terminology. Raya is a person's spirit child found by the father in a dream, but beyond that, a constant, invisible attendant for its possessors for the whole of his life. I'll move on down now to ancient Egypt healing, energy healing. In researching for the beginning of the ancient energy history for the power of touch modalities, I discovered documentation on 3 pharaohs dating back to the 5th dynasty. The definition of a pharaoh is as follows. The pharaoh was a political and religious leader of the Egyptian people, holding the titles the Lord of the 2 lands and a high priest for every temple. As the Lord of the 2 lands, the pharaoh was the ruler of Upper and Lower Egypt. the foot artefacts of ancient Egypt. This is from Pharaoh Djikari, Easy, the 8th Pharaoh, 5th dynasty, date of rule 2356 to 2388 BC. Peta, who was the city administrator and the first minister of the reign of Djikari Isai, is pictured in carved bas relief, which is a type of sculpture that has less depth to the faces and figures than they actually have when measured proportionally. This technique retains the natural contours of the figures and allows the work to be viewed from many angles without distortion of the figures themselves. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Displayed in the chapel of his tomb as having his toes and fingers manicured, one report states that a bas relief in his tomb shows a servant massaging his legs.
Yeah.
Titi, 1st Pharaoh, 6th dynasty, date of rule 2291 to 2323 BC. Work on hands and feet are depicted in the bas relief carvings at the entrance of the Angkor tomb. The placement of such carvings in an entrance typically signifies the profession of the individual. The tomb is referred as the tomb of the physician. Angkor's titles, Vizier, first after the king, overseer of the great house. Now we'll move down to Ramesses II, the 3rd Pharaoh, 19th dynasty, 1213 to 1279 BC. There's a pictograph of work on feet of tending to the feet of foot soldiers on a military campaign involving a long march during the Battle of Kadesh during the reign of Ramesses II. The battle is well known because it was commemorated by Ramesses in the building of at least 8 temples that have survived.
Wow.
This is one that I like. Cleopatra, Greco-Roman period, 30 to 69 BC. Mark Antony is reported to massage Cleopatra's feet at dinner parties. Classical Greece. The idea about the chakra energy centres are contained in the writings of Plato and alluded to in the teachings of Pythagoras.
Yes.
And he was a great mathematician.
Yes, I'm learning about Pythagoras.
Plato was a philosopher in classical Greece and founded the Academy in Athens, the first institute of higher learning in the Western world. Plato has written about the chakras in his dialogue, Timaeus. Basically, Plato considered the chakras to be as subtle organs that the soul or the psychic uses to relate to the whole physical body.
Right.
If one does a search on the internet under Greek medicine, Greek chakras, one will find a history dating to before Christ on the energy centres and their relationship to health. And that was an article written by David K. Osborne. Classical Greece, the biofield energy, the laying on of hands, is one of the most oldest, most ubiquitous forms of healing known to humankind. Apparently having emerged independently among ancient cultures worldwide. I mean, this is amazing. It was such a journey to come to be able to read this to you. The father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, referred to it as the force which flows from many people's hands.
Yep.
Hippocrates was born on the island of Kos, off the southwest coast of Asia Minor, present-day Turkey, around 460 BC. Hippocrates' main unifying theory for the holistic understanding of the human organism and how it functions in health and disease used the concept of the 4 humours. He describes health as a harmonious balance of the four humours. Disease results from their disharmony and imbalance. The healer's physician's job is to restore health by correcting the imbalance and restoring harmony to the humours.
Yeah.
And these four humours were blood, phlegm, black bile and yellow bile. And I think we talked about that last week.
We did. Yeah, you told me the black bile story.
Hippocrates had a high degree for the laying on of hands and considered it to be one of the arts with which a well-rounded physician should be familiar. However, he cautioned that a real proficiency in the art of touch therapy does not come quickly, but rather with lots of hands-on experience. Hippocrates also recognised, and I think this is so important, the body's natural capacity for healing. Hippocrates instructed physicians to find the blocking influences both within the patient and between them and the cosmos in order to restore the healing life force. Nature, not the doctor, healer, is the source of healing. References greekmedicine.net. Touch therapy in ancient Rome. In the early days of Rome, the medical profession was not held in very high regard. There was no formal licensing until 200 AD. The practice of medicine was open to all with the inclination and was based on experience. Wealthy Roman families kept slaves called allopites, who were their medics and masseurs. Some were highly trained and experienced physicians from Greece, who did not really become freed men, free to practice their trade publicly until the early days of the Roman Empire. One remarkable such medic, a touch therapist, was the Greek physician Asclepiades. Asclepiades was the consummate master of touch. His top 4 therapeutic modalities were all of drugless form. Hydrotherapy, exercise and touch in that order. Asclepiades did not subscribe to Hippocrates' humoral theories. He had his own corpuscle theory, and life was due to a constant motion of atoms in the body, that disease and death resulted when this movement is obstructed and disrupted. Honestly, it's amazing.
Rebalance. Find disharmony.
Aurelius Cornelius Celsus was a Roman physician and a medical historian who is said to have written the first history of medicine. Celsus was basically a follower of the humoral or the rubbing theories of Hippocrates and was a great believer in the efficacy, power or capacity to produce a desired effectiveness of a touch therapy. Therapeutic touch techniques or healing touch techniques, reflexology, massage techniques. Yeah, it's just amazing. Energy healing through touch. In China, this is from 475 to 221 BC. Amazing. In China, the yellow emperors of eternal medicine identified 14 channels or meridians within the human body, 6 of which travel to the foot. Meridians are energy pathways all over the body that link our internal organs with other parts of the body. These energy channels are the pathways for the circulation of the vital life force, the vital force or vital energy. Although qi is necessary for the existence of life, it is not visible to the naked eye. It is more akin to the electrical energy in the body. Dr. Wang Wei, a Chinese doctor in the 4th century, maintained that as pressure was applied and maintained, healing energy was released in the patient's body. The fact that ancient Egypt and China both seem to have shared the same or similar knowledges of healing techniques, raises the question to whether these two great civilizations have been in contact with each other, or was it coincidental? Interesting, in order for foot reflexology to be recognised in modern China, the principle of ear reflexology, which has been known and well accepted in China for centuries, was first addressed, and because of its proven effectiveness within the last decade, foot reflexology or foot massage was given official governmental acceptance.
In China?
China.
Wow, okay.
Reflexology is, and the other modalities are very effective in stimulating and revitalising this energy flow. And as we practice our techniques, we stimulate the automatic nervous system, which is known also as the parasympathetic nervous system, which is linked to every organ, gland, and all parts of the anatomy. The Chinese theory is that there must be an open flow of qi to maintain good health.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move over to the Mayan civilization, which is 6,000 years before Christ.
Yeah, wow.
Ages of the Mayans and the Incas, the high cultures, developed modalities to diagnose and treat many illnesses. The Mayans documented their findings by carving them in stone plaques.
Mm-hmm.
The altar of Copan has engravings with symbols encoded that only medicine men could understand. The Maya civilization was a Mesopotamian civilization developed by the Maya people and noted for its hieroglyphic script. The Maya civilization covered a region that spread from North Mexico southwards into Central America.
Okay, big region, yep.
The Incas, the Shavan civilized culture, flourishing from the 10th century BC, has long been considered the first civilization of South America. In recent decades, archaeologists have revealed far earlier centralized societies in the Peru regions, suggest complex societies, and carbon 14 datings reveal they were in existence by around 3000 BC, contemporary with the beginning of civilizations in Mesopotamia and Egypt. In researching for this presentation, I could find no documentation on touch for healing.
Okay.
However, I did find a very interesting site which detailed a Shavan center for initiation into shamanic realms.
Okay.
An anthropologist described a journey into a center stated, "The chamber reverberates with an intense, heavy energy, compelling me to sit longer, surrendering to whatever power dwell there. The effect this had on the anthropologist physically, mentally, and emotionally changed this anthropologist forever."
Wow.
It just blew me away.
Yeah.
This research.
Yes.
And the Incas, of course, are the Peru region with Machu Picchu.
Oh, okay. Yep.
790 AD. And then we move back to the Christian era, the laying on of hands for healing through Jesus. Throughout the New Testament, there are many scripture writings of the healing power of Jesus. He was the great physician and healer. It came from the power within him, the vital energy force. And a most wonderful example of this force was described in Luke's Gospels, chapter 8, verses 40 to 49. Now, when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a ruler of the synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12 years, was dying. As Jesus was on his way, The crowds almost crushed him, and a woman was there who'd been bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus said. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." Then the woman, seeing she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told him why she had touched him and how she'd been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." In brackets I've added here, I will freely admit here, I was first introduced into the inner power of vital energy for healing through this gospel story back in the introduction of Healing Touch Level 1 in 2001. In 1790 AD now, Buddha's footprints were found in the Medicine Teacher's Temple in Nara in Japan. 1292. When Marco Polo returned to Italy, he may have introduced Chinese massage techniques to the West. Another possibility is that the Dominican and Franciscan missionaries brought this knowledge home sometime during the Middle or Darker Ages of Europe between 400 and 1400 AD. In 1852, in Europe at that time, zone therapy was practiced in several countries, and the first book found published on the subject was by Dr. Admus and Dr. at.it. 1771. Johann August Unser, a German physiologist, in his published work, is the first to use the word reflex with reference to the body's motor reactions.
Mm-hmm.
In 1830, a neurovascular holding points were discovered in 1830 by Dr. Terence Bennett, a chiropractor. He found these points mainly on the head and deduced that they seemed to influence the flow of blood to specific organs and structures in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In 1833, Marshall Hall, an English physiologist, in a study on the reflex function of the medulla oblongata and the spinal cord, uses the term reflex action and demonstrates the difference between unconscious reflexes and volitional acts.
Mm.
In 1934, a Swedish doctor, Per Hinkik Ling, noticed that pains emanating from certain organs were reflected in certain areas of the skin, but with no direct relation to these organs.
Right.
Other students followed this line of thought, including the English neurologist Sir Henry Head, and the treatment zones that he discovered came to be known as head zones. Therapeutic anesthesia was born. 1870. The actual word reflexology was coined by a psychiatrist in Russia, a country where reflexology was recognised first in the late 1800s for its psychological benefits. The Russians, beginning with Dr. Ivan Pavlov and Vladimir Bekaterov, had been exploring reflex responses in the body for nearly a century. In 1890, Sir Henry Head, a knighted research scientist and medical doctor, published his discoveries that the sensitive areas of the skin are connected through nerves to diseased organs. Mm-hmm. The bladder, he wrote, can be excited into action by stimulating the sole of the feet, the soles of the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Late 1890s and early 1900s. The Germans were developing massage techniques which began became to be known as reflex massage, and it is believed that the Germans were the first to apply massage to reflex zones.
Yep.
A Dr. Alphonse Cornelius suffered an infection in 1893. As part of his convalescence, he received daily massage. At the spa where he was being treated, Cornelius noted a medical officer worked longer on painful areas and that his massage technique was more effective. Cornelius instructed his masseur to work in this way, which led to his full recovery within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Dr. Cornelius pursued the use of pressure techniques in his own medical practice and published a manuscript, Pressure Points, Origin and Significances, in 1902. In the early 1900s, when returning to the United States from Vienna, a Dr. William Fitzgerald was introduced to reflex therapy and has since earned himself the recognition as the modern originator of reflexology in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Dr. Fitzgerald discovered a very interesting fact, that the application of pressures on the zones not only relieved pain, but in the majority of cases also relieved the underlying cause as well. The same result is experienced through reflexology and other modalities today, which is based partially on zone therapy.
Yes.
Dr. Shelby Riley, MD, worked closely with Dr. Fitzgerald and further developed the zone theory. He added 8 horizontal zones across the hands and feet of the body, together with the longitudinal zones, and thus determined individual reflexes according to zone therapy. He also began hook work, and Riley employed a physiotherapist by the name of Eunice Ingham, who became known as the mother of reflexology. Eunice Ingham took time to research and develop the zone theory findings and developed her foot theory in the early 1930s. Eunice Ingham had the opportunity to treat hundreds of patients with each reflex of contact, had become carefully and thoroughly checked and rechecked until with all confidence she was able to determine that the reflexes on the foot were an exact image of the organ.
Yeah.
Eunice Ingham wrote her first book, Stories That Feet Can Tell, and in this book she documented her cases and carefully mapped out the reflexes on the feet as we now know them today. Interestingly, her book was later transferred into 7 foreign languages. Then the confusion between reflexology and zone therapy began as the foreign publisher changed the name of Eunice's book from Stories That Feet Can Tell to Zone Therapy. However, there is a distinct difference between the two therapies. Today's research studies are conducted all around the world, which are validating the effectiveness of touch through reflexology and others on a wide variety of conditions. Acute and chronic conditions seem to respond very well on a wide variety of conditions. So, yeah, I mean, I've just gone on to say that because this was for reflexologists, that I just returned in 2016. I just returned from attending a continuing professional development course, seminar for reflexologists in Melbourne. And the first segment was a 3-hour lecture on energy medicine and why reflexology works. This is followed by a 2-day workshop on working the neck. And we were taught a lot of techniques for the cervical bones and muscles around the neck and shoulders, and the emerging use of nerve reflexology and energy touch. So it's just like come round with in a circle. Yeah. It is such.
I keep finding it just a little bit frustrating, with the so evident, you know, how good one feels after a massage.
Yeah.
You know, that why wouldn't that be accepted as healing, making someone feel better?
Yeah, well, that's what, therapeutic is. That's what the meaning of the word therapeutic is. You know, look, as you know, I'm really passionate about this. But before I finish, I just finished off with, in conclusion, I would like to quote a statement by Albert Zenz-Gregoriou. Albert was a Hungarian-American physiologist who won the Nobel Peace Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1937. In every culture and in every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. So I loved researching this, and it just changed my life, because the common denominator in every single civilization, from the traditional healers, of Australia, was the life force energy.
Yeah. And it's all connected.
And it's all connected. Yeah. So, yeah. And I've also got a book here, a bit of the history of therapeutic touch. It's called Choices in Healing by Michael Lerner, who was a doctor.
Okay.
And he looked at integrating the best of conventional and complementary approaches. He's specifically written it for cancer patients, but it's not just cancer patients, it's for everybody.
Yeah, everybody, every...
Absolutely. And all the research that's been going on, and there's a whole article in here on the beginnings of the studies that Dora Kutz and Dee Krieger did at New York State University in the United States through the nursing division. Dee was a nurse and Dora was the natural healer.
Yeah.
So, you know, to see it all coming to life in 2019, it just thrills me to bits, to the core.
It is. It's your life passion.
Yeah.
It's seeing all of this being accepted worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I just think it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to
reap the rewards of the years of dedication.
Yeah, and it's a time for everybody, because we've all got that innate gift within us.
Yeah, once we wake up, wake up's a bit harsh, isn't it? Living in one's pain body a lot, okay, and then recognising that I'm in my pain body. Yeah. And being able to step outside of it so that I can still function, but, you know, without... Yeah, it is. It's a lesson in itself. And when you have therapeutic people around you that understand the pattern, it's not just paperwork. It's not just a pill and here you go and I'll see you in a week if you're feeling worse. You know, it's a hug and a massage and a chat.
And it's also like up here, I've got in my sacred room, I call it.
Yes, it's a bit backwards, but we can...
Virtues, the gifts of character.
I'll take a photo of that and I'll pop that on our little blog, hey?
Yeah, and...
Second one down is caring.
Yeah.
You know, like... Yeah.
And once you can absolutely go down to that sacred space and open the door to the soul.
Yeah.
And start to live from the inside out.
Yeah.
Instead of from the outside world influences. Which actually tend to block. Yeah. Yeah, well, the negativity.
Yeah, you're right.
Gets stuck.
Yep, I find it it's intensely obvious for me when I'm living in harmony. Is the warmth and the chest expansion feeling and that funny buzzy feeling I get in my chest. Yeah. And it's sort of like a bit of a bubbly high, like a natural, like, you know. And that's completely different to when you've got blockages within you. You can feel that tiredness throughout the body. Yeah. And,
you know, this is why meditation is just so important to be able to just, and mindfulness, like, you know, to be in the moment, to be in the presence of your divine self, and to just live in your energetic heart, and have the love just absolutely flowing through, and to have the light just flowing through, and you know the energy, just, you can feel it moving, you can feel it like bring you to a place of absolute stillness, of absolute peace, which brings you to this place of happiness that the world cannot give.
Yeah. Finding that stillness within, and the walk and go on around you, it's not going to harm you. Yeah. I know that stillness feeling. It's a beautiful feeling. It's new for me. Been hyperactive my whole life. Sitting down was just a complete afterthought, and you know, I still am, but I've recognised now, you know, like I can only keep that energy up for not for very long before I need to refill my cup.
Yeah.
And how I just wonder how many of us are running around on empty and not realising that, you know, something like, you know, getting a massage can give you so much relief. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just going to get a
what little treasure are you pulling out now?
During my recovery of following my breakdown, I happened to find, this is how old this is.
Well loved.
It's called Energy Medicine.
Okay.
And it is subtle energies, consciousness, and the new science of healing.
Right.
And it was produced by a woman by the name of Carolyn Miss.
Right.
And I've still got her tapes here.
Oh, they're little cassette tapes. Oh, bless.
Little cassette tapes.
The children of these days don't even know what they are.
Energy Medicine. And it's written by people who've got their PhDs, etc. And this I purchased in 1998, 99. Yep, amazing. Now, what Carolyn Miss taught me back then was to, every day is a new day.
Yep.
And the inner alchemist at night works with you inside, and you wake up in the morning and it's like you've got $100 in your bank account.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an analogy.
And the goal was to keep that $100 in your bank account.
It's mine.
Yes. And every time we react to something, it's like we are seeping out money from the bank. So it's just, imagine it's an energy bank.
Yeah.
And just seeping out. And if it's, you know, you have an argument with someone, or someone's rude to you, and you know, then your energy's down to 60.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very quick, isn't it?
Oh, and you can drain your energy just like that.
Instantly I get a told, I hate you, Mum. I'm like, wow, got me.
So, you know, her work, Caroline Miss, and this is also Larry Dowsey, just really, really embedded in me the absolute belief, because I started practicing that of having my bank before I walked out the door to go back to go to work.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
Full. Yeah. So.
Thank you for bringing that to our eyes.
Yeah. I'm sure you can still get a copy of this, but it'd be on a CD or something.
I'll still put a copy of the cover up there, so that if others are interested in searching for the research, they can. Because cassette tapes these days, they're not that easy to record over the computer.
No. because it says, learn with the world's foremost experts in energetic healing. Is the human body merely a complex biological machine, or is our health sustained by subtle energies that can be guided for healing? These are the questions posed by the field of energy medicine. Yep. For over a decade, the International Society of the Study of Subtle Energies and Energy Medicine has hosted the world's most eminent scholars and practitioners within this revolutionary new medical field as its annual conferences, from the effects of bioelectric magnetic energy on the body to the healing effects of prayer to subtle energy practices of other cultures.
Covered a lot.
Energy medicine gathers the best of these celebrated gatherings in one unmatched reference collection. Join these pioneers as they lift the veil on the most exciting discoveries being made in the field of alternative healing today with energy medicine. And they've got names like Larry Dosey, MD, Consciousness, Energy and Healing, Janine Arcott-Breck, PhD, Spirituality and Ritual in Healing, Charles Tart, PhD, Exploring Our Fear of the Paranormal, John Upledger, DOOOMM, Unexplainable Phenomena and Medical Practice, Peter Russell, MADCS, Healing the Roots of Global Malaise, Elliot Dacher, MD, Creating an Integrated Healing Model, Subtle Information in Healing, Caroline Miss, PhD, Understanding Medical Intuition, and I've been fortunate, I've been a very intuitive nurse all my life. After the White Crows, Mystical Phenomena and Scientific Perspective, by the name of Jeremy Weish, PhD, Elmer Green, PhD, Observation of Meditators and Healers, the Copper Wall Experience, Roberto Brecker, MD, The Body's Magnetics and Energy Medicine, and William Hartman, who's done his PhD in Developing Intuitive Science. So, I mean, yeah, this is just amazing.
It's like, oh, my precious. So, oh, bless.
I was very fortunate to have come across that all those years ago.
I love the picture. Look at this nice. Can you see that? That's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting there. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, well, I'm going to photocopy, take photos of all of the little articles and the poem that we read out today.
Yeah.
And so that, if you're interested in Googling them, or you can get in touch with us via our Gmail. It's tranquillitashealinghub@gmail.com, and we can hopefully send you a copy, or let you know where we can get it to you. What do you think we should do? Do you think we should wrap it up for this evening?
I do. I think that's another long
that's okay
video, but I think it was really important to kind of give the history. Yeah, because we don't get to hear the history of it.
No, and it all sounds so new age and fancy dancy. It's not. It's been going around for
80,000 years, you know, or since the Big Bang, really. The creation, you know.
And I think the more that we make it mainstream, that it's not, just like this fad, like it's been going around for such a long time, but maybe, possibly, our children at school might start getting taught the history of healing and why the benefits of it healing you, and why we look after ourselves and get dressed in the morning, and how important it is to look after ourselves.
Absolutely. Self-care is the key.
I don't believe they teach those sorts of things at school, and not every family is benefited with growing up with, I suppose... programming. We're all programmed by the age of 6. We pick up what our parents have passed on to us. So I think it'd be with meditation, the self-care, you know, they go hand in hand.
Yep.
And if children understand that I'm feeling, you know, this way, they might be able to actually understand how they're feeling, be able to put a word to it. And they've been given, like, say, meditation classes or whatever, to be able to go, oh, I know how to calm myself. It's with breathing, or I like to hit the drums, or I want to put my headphones down. Yeah, a bit of yoga, a bit of stretching. And to have that then be put into that child's care, that learning structure for that child, so in an individual way, I believe that, you know, it shouldn't be so hard to set up a care plan, because they've got care plans for if you come to school with medication. They do that. They've got that. I know. I've seen those forms. And if your child's got to have a medication, oh my God, the paperwork you got to fill out, it's unbelievable. So I didn't see how hard it would be to be able to, you know, do the meditation classes and the self-care classes, and then be able to work out a personalised plan for each child, so that if they do run into trouble.
Absolutely. And the whole, one of the themes yesterday was this care plan from pre-birth, which I've got in my head here. Care plan from pre-birth in primary health care, all the way through the pregnancy, because I've written papers on this, all the way through the pregnancy, you know, through childbirth, and then through the toddler's years, and then through the preschool time, school age, teenage, preteens, teenagers, young adults, then through all the generations up to the end of life care.
You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Gotta get this out.
I've been blessed. You know, it's been a wonderful journey, and all happened because I had a breakdown.
Yeah, well, you had your own experience,
Yeah, and I had to heal myself, because it's a bit like Humpty Dumpty, who sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, think about it.
Yep, that's
health
right.
professionals, and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again, and the only person who could put Humpty Dumpty together again was Humpty Dumpty.
That's right.
And that came to me after I attended a first aid mental health course in another professional development course that I did, continuing for both for nursing and for my other modalities that I have to keep studying, etc. In a dream one night, and I got up and wrote a paper on it.
Channeled.
Yeah. So, you know, and then it was really wonderful because, you know, I never knew about the mental health first aid course.
No.
I only knew that there was a physical first aid course. And then on the way home from this course, I thought to myself, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could develop a spiritual first aid course?
Oh, yeah.
And then we could have a wholeness course.
Why not just do the whole lot?
Mine.
Yeah.
Spiritual course.
Yeah.
And I had this very, very dear woman. She's just such a special soul, Rashmi Patel, who came to visit me one day. And she walked into the room, and I was sharing this with her. And she said, there, the virtues, your spiritual first aid course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to bring virtues and values back into our schools, into our...
The language that we use.
Yeah.
The everyday, what we do.
Absolutely.
Walk the walk.
Absolutely. And, you know, to follow those virtues. And when you live from the inside, it's so easy to do.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been such an awesome chat today. It looks it's actually shorter than our other ones.
Oh,
so
really?
Don't feel bad. It's okay. Only by a few minutes, but it's okay. That's all right. And I like to put the times that we start doing the talking, and our poetry anyway. So because I don't like to cut the videos, I just don't want anybody to think that they're missing out on us or that we're not being totally authentic with our storytelling by editing the videos.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think authenticity is so important.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful little practice that one can do, and to keep one really simple, to keep one authentic, or sincerity, absolutely sincere, to keep one's thoughts pure, and to have faith that I practice every morning, which brings ultimately to love, to light, to energy, to peace, to truth, and happiness, the divine within myself. Get rid of the ego, totally.
Don't need that.
Don't need the
little green man hanging on the, pull my hair down. Get into trouble.
So to live the positive lifestyle, and if we practice the virtues, and this is from the virtuesproject.com, and I think they were a Canadian, originated in Canada, and I've got their books here, and I've got their little cards here, and I think they do have an agent in Perth.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll see what information I can. Maybe I can do some tags in our blog. And so if anybody's interested,
because then if you've got your physical first aid, you've got your mental first aid, then you've got the spiritual. But if you start with the spiritual,
you shouldn't need the other ones.
The other ones,
exactly. Yep.
But we do need to really emphasise the need for the medical model as well.
Oh, 100%.
And that we have to work in unison, integrated.
Yeah, because I can't stop taking my asthma puffer. If I stop taking my asthma puffer, I'm in hospital within a month. Right. So look, hands
and there's
down.
some wonderful doctors out there. Really, there's so many of them now going down the integrative and functional medicine model of health service delivery, and we need to support them. Because life can be made difficult through them.
Sure.
As we've had rumblings this year from the medical board. And so, I really do believe that complementary therapies will be back on the private health insurance rebates next year. I just know healing and holistic health care is going to come. I've known it for so long. And
it's heartening that the government are sending sending interest out there, because nothing happens unless
Well, somebody asked me years ago, the only way you're going to change things, Peter, is to go in to become a politician. Well, I'm not prepared to sell my soul to any party. I would love to. I've been asked a couple of times over the years, but no, I couldn't do it. So I guess this is your way. This is my way.
Yeah, this is your way, and I'm so happy you've chosen me to come on this ride with you, because I get to learn so much in the process. Yeah, it's my classroom. Thank you, Peta.
Thank you.
It's lovely. Thank you.
As I said in an email or a post that I put out today, I'm a total dinosaur as terms of technology. And I want to Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know a little bit more, but it doesn't stay in here. Like, I just can't connect with it.
You have more important things to remember. This is why we've been brought together.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So thank you.
Oh, I love you, my darling.
I love you too.
Thank you so much, everybody. We love you all very much. Look,
Namaste.
Namaste, and all the best for your days. Bye.